Right then, lads, welcome back to 99 Sport. My name is Cossy, and we have started our January transfer guide. In this series, we're going to be looking at every team, and we'll be trying to find out which players do they need to leave and to let go, and which players do they need to sign in. We'll start off with my club, which is Arsenal. Obviously, we are the priority, even in alphabetical order in the Premier League. We are there, so definitely we have to start with Arsenal. And of course, with Arsenal, it's a lot of business we're going to be looking at. But do me a favor, if you're an Arsenal fan, hit the subscribe button. We're very, very close to 1,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button. But also, make sure if you're from East Africa, make sure you hit the subscribe button and let me know in the comments below if you're from East Africa, because it's very fascinating that I'm also from East Africa. Why not? So join me in the comments below and let me know where you're watching it from. But with Arsenal, it's very, very interesting because in terms of outgoings, there is there is that need to clear the deadwood still. I mean, it's been a lot of time. Many players right from the Arsene Wenger era are still in here, but you've got to give a lot of credit to Mikel Arteta and Edu with what they have done in terms of Arsenal transfers, in terms of clearing out the deadwood. Yes, so many players are still there, the likes of Kolasinac, Granit Xhaka. But again, if you look at this Arsenal side, it looks very, very different from 2 years ago when Mikel Arteta took over. They've done a very, very good job in terms of cutting off those players that are really not offering anything, in terms of lessening the wage budget, but also having more players at a young age that are really proving to be very, very important as compared to the players they had. They've let the likes of Ozil leave in previous transfer windows. A couple of other players have also left in previous transfer windows, and I think the job is still going on. Kolasinac should be leaving in the summer or even in January, because Marseille do need him. I think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang will be leaving. I really cannot count him as deadwood, but also he's part of that kind of regime, that kind of regeneration. Jacques as well, part of the generation as well, since Arsene Wenger. So when they all leave, I think it will be a completely new Arsenal side, and that is when we'll see the rebirth of Arsenal Football Club. But in this January, what exactly is urgent? What do Arsenal need to do in terms of outgoings? That's where we will start, and I'm going to suggest only two names. I mean, it's surprising. Only two names that I'm going to suggest for Arsenal, and that is Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Isn't it obvious? Lads? Look, I think it's so obvious that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the only solution, the only medicine is to let Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang go and to leave the squad. I think it's so dramatic how things have really, really turned around for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang at Arsenal. It's less than a month. Okay, it's 1 month, and everything has changed from captain to an ordinary player, and then from a very, very important key member of the squad to a player who's banished, to a player who's no longer doing basics with the club. And when it comes to doing basics, I mean basics. Basics. That's what I'm talking about. Basics, right? So he's not doing basics. And Mikel already came out and said that he's not going to be doing the basics, the training and things like that. He's been left go, for AFCON earlier than any other player, and that shows you that the significance and magnitude at which Arsenal do need him is actually declining at a very, very fast rate. And if you look at how Arsenal have really managed this season with and without him, they've won more games and collected more points without him than with him. So his influence on the pitch and off the pitch is actually, it's the same. When he's not there, Arsenal win games. When he's there, Arsenal actually do not win games. And there is no way you're going to be that player that really doesn't affect the team's play positively, and then you're going to stay. So Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, I think for a player, he needs to go to a club in Europe. That's what he wants. Al Hilal have actually offered him that 3-year contract. I think it's a very, very good deal. He's only 31. I think he needs to, he wants to be, in Europe, for at least a little longer, for at least another 2 years. Newcastle are interested, Barca and Juve. The problem would be his wages, but I think Arsenal really need to get rid of him in this January transfer window. So I think that is the player that I would definitely think about as a straightforward, as a straightforward. But then the other player that I think Arsenal really need to let go of, I mean, just let him go. Just let him go. Said Kolasinac. Come on, Arsenal. Yes, Ainsley has left for Roma. I think, look, that was not a priority. Ainsley could have stayed and things could have been the same. But Said Kolasinac, like, let him go. His contract runs down in the summer. Can't you just let him go? I mean, he'll be a free agent in the summer. Marseille are interested, and a couple of other clubs. I think Watford as well is also interested. Claudio Ranieri is looking to bolster and make better that squad. But Said Kolasinac, how awful he's been at this Arsenal side, and I think it would be very, very good business if Arsenal just decide, go, let him go, like, go. I mean, it's just one of those ones where you're like, leave. I mean, it's just that. So Said Kolasinac for me and Aubameyang, they're really, really obvious in terms of outgoings. Arsenal can do that. There might not be a lot of time, and opportunities to let some players go, and that's why I think it's going to be much done in the summer. But I think Edu, what he needs to work out, let Aubameyang go and Said Kolasinac. Now, in terms of incomings, this is where it gets really, really interesting, because one, I'm an Arsenal fan, and I really, really watch football these days objectively, and I do want to know what Arsenal need. Number one, I think with Thomas Partey going out and Mohamed Elneny, and now they have left Ainsley Maitland-Niles go, it's pretty obvious they do need a midfielder. They've been linked with a couple of them, but I'm going to suggest two names that Arsenal should be looking at. I mean, the rest, it is just clutter. Just look at those two names and decide on one of them. Number one, I'll go with Gigino Wijnaldum. He's been at Liverpool. He's been playing in the Premier League, and I think if Arsenal brought him in, he's still 31 years of age. You could just bring him in on loan with an option to buy. That means if he does well, you sign him. If he doesn't do well, you don't sign him. And then the other player is Bruno Guimaraes. I think many Arsenal fans are really tired of that name in my mouth, but I'll speak Bruno Guimaraes until the end of the transfer window. Right. So in terms of midfield, I think that is what Arsenal need. They might not have the money because Lyon are asking for around 45 million euros for Bruno Guimaraes. They might not have that money ready. They might not have that money readily available. So I think what they should do is you do a deal like Gigino Wijnaldum. That is Wijnaldum. You sign him on loan for 6 months. I think Arsenal are really, really trying to look at that option, and they're thinking about it. And I think thinking about it is actually something they really need to do. So if you can get in Gigino Wijnaldum, he can bridge that gap between the midfield and the offensive, and then the backline and the offensive as well. But also, one thing you have about him is that you're not going to miss Thomas Partey very, very much. I think Partey, what he gives them is that kind of dominance, in the midfield. I think that's what we really get out of Thomas Partey. We saw it against Manchester City. Really, really dominated that midfield. Actually, if you think about it, Arsenal really played well, but it was Thomas Partey being everywhere, and I still remember, he reminds me of N'Golo Conte, in that game. So Partey is gonna be missed, but if you get in Gigino Wijnaldum, I think things like ball distribution, things like affecting the press will actually be solved. The only problem you will have is that the defensive cover that Thomas Partey provides with his team will actually be not available, and I think. Look, you can't get all that in Gigino Wijnaldum because Partey again is one of those really interesting midfielders. It's kind of a hybrid in between those two rows. It goes forward, very, very well, and then it comes back very, very well. It controls the midfield very, very well. And in the middle of the pack, I think you just need Thomas Partey. Now, because you can't have Thomas Partey, I've suggested Gigino Wijnaldum. It's a good deal. Arsenal do it. It is a 6-month loan deal. As simple as that. Get him on a 6-month loan deal with an option to buy. If he does well, you could explore the chances of signing him. If he doesn't do well, then you do not explore the chances of signing him. But I think the ultimate answer to Arsenal's problems would be Bruno Guimaraes, because again, when Thomas Partey comes back, Gigino Wijnaldum can't play alongside Thomas Partey, and it would be very, very interesting if Mikel Arteta can try that out. But in the long run, they will need someone who will be a long-term partner to Thomas Partey. Partey is 28 years of age. I think he still has around 2 more years, around 4 more years. Sorry, in his career of 5 until 32, 33. That is when Arsenal will think about replacing him and letting him go. And they have already done that by signing in Albert Sambi-Lokonga, who I think is very, very interesting. But with Bruno Guimaraes, if you brought him in, you're having a player who's going to play alongside Thomas Partey for the next 4 years of his career, but also someone who's going to proceed even when Thomas Partey is around, has left, and someone who's massively better than Granit Xhaka. Xhaka is an important player. I think we've seen it in a couple of games, but I think it's only very good for Arsenal because there is no one that Arsenal can sign in that area. Bruno Guimaraes would give you that. He's so exciting in terms of getting in a young prospect and a midfielder. Do Arsenal need a striker? With because we have suggested that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang should leave in January, it would be very, very unfair not to acknowledge the fact that they also need to bring in a striker, and I think that is where Dusan Vlahovic, Patrick Schick, and Alexander Isak come in, plus Jonathan David. I mean, they've been linked with a couple of them, but I think, again, in terms of striker, we will only talk about 2 who they need to work on in January, and that is Alexander Isak as well as Patrick Schick. Now, I mean, you're going to be very shocked that I've not talked about Dusan Vlahovic. It's a very, very hard deal to do. Arsenal can do that in the summer. In January, it's not one that is really, really plausible. Yes, bids have been put in by Arsenal, and it looks like Fiorentina do want to sell, but the player is set to stay in Italy. So that is where Patrick Schick comes in, because Alexander Lacazette is not a goal scorer. He's not that kind of player that's going to give you. Already this season, he's already played 15 games and scored 3 goals with 3 assists. It's very interesting because he has 6 goal involvements in 15 games. But if you look at him and the role he's picked up at Arsenal, it's more like that kind of deeper role than Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang would. They just need a player like Patrick Schick, some player that can actually score for you decisive goals. I don't think Schick is going to come in and be that kind of player that puts you in pressure for 90 minutes in every game. You could still play this the way you're playing, and then Patrick Schick comes off the bench probably in the 70th minute, 80th minute, 65th minute, and also you just need that kind of cover when Alexander Lacazette maybe gets burned out or gets injured. You just need that kind of cover, and I think Patrick Schick is an easy deal to do in January, but also 25 million euros to 35 million euros. That is the price that Arsenal will have to endure, and I think if you brought in a Patrick Schick, it doesn't block entirely the possibility that you can sign in another forward or another striker. So I think Patrick Schick in January, perfect for Arsenal. It means you get Patrick Schick in January, and in the summer you could go for someone like Jonathan David or Dusan Vlahovic or Alexander Isak. Now, talking about Alexander Isak, he is another player that I think Arsenal should be looking at. He has a release clause of around 77 million euros. That's huge. Like it is huge. Like boom, huge, right? But think about it. If Arsenal, could just trigger the release clause of Alexander Isak in January, 77 million euros, I don't think they will do that, really. But if they could do that, then they have someone who's really going to be like another Alexander Lacazette. His hold up play is again very good. We'll be looking at his statistics and things like that. We'll do more analysis about him. But I think this season he's only scored 4 goals so far in 16 games. Last season he managed 17. 17 in around 30 games. He's still a very young striker, very young prospect. You could just develop him into that kind of player you want him to be, and of course it can be that kind of face that Arsenal want to their project. Of course, he's played with Martin Odegaard before, at Real Sociedad. Probably the reunion could be one that benefits Odegaard and Alexander Isak. We know how much of a talent he is, and we know he's really that kind of player that Mikel Arteta would really want. Let me know what your what are your thoughts on Arsenal's January transfer signings and what they should do in terms of outgoings and incomings. Next up is Manchester United, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, Spurs, which I think were, who I think are very, very, crucial on this channel because they are in that kind of a rebuild, and as well as Newcastle. Of course, I will have to take more time to look at Newcastle. They have their money. I mean, they do not want to take that oil money to the Championship. I think they're not planning to do that, are they? I think they're not, right? I'll speak to you right in the next one. Hit the like button. I mean, it massively helps. Like, when you hit the like button, YouTube thinks you love the content. And YouTube knows you love the content. So it will respond by giving it to more, sharing the video to more people. And also, if you subscribe, the more subscribers we get, the bigger the family. Cossy's Arsenal podcast, that's where you find all my Arsenal, all my Arsenal opinion videos and latest news. Make sure you subscribe to that channel as well. Cossy's Arsenal podcast. If you've not done that, if you've not subscribed there, are you like, I love you.